love a dependable worker, friends love dependable friendships, and voters love a reliable source of news. If something's reliable, you feel you can depend on it. It roots you in a constantly changing world that only seems to be getting more and more hectic. But at times, some strains of reliability can bog down constructive discourse. In the case of political commentary, it's much, much easier to represent a dependable, reliable strain of thought. If your readers approach your material with the expectation of a given opinion, they're immediately satisfied. It puts an end to the messy and alienating process of pursuing the truth wherever it may lead. Sadly, politics and humans are almost never that simple. Certainly, a president such as Donald Trump is no creature of predictability. With as many erratic and oftentimes self contradictory comments, it's virtually impossible to always take a stance that will satisfy both his diehard supporters and eternal critics. And those who strive to evaluate his actions are bullied into the margins. This schism is best illustrated in the war of words between National Review's Charles C.W. Cook and The Atlantic's David Frum. This difference was catalyzed when the National Review editor detailed the unabashed flips and flops of the Washington Post's Senator Rubin. In normal circumstances, the basic idea of flip-flopping is thought to occur when a given position becomes unpopular. However, for Rubin and those like her, it's much more cynical. She'll hold a position and make a fairly reasoned and compelling case in its defense. Then Trump will come along, take on that same position, and suddenly they're rallying for the opposite one. This routine amounts to a relinquishment of one's autonomy over a personal distaste for one man. By now, we all know the Trump supporter who will bend over backwards to excuse any sudden change Trump makes on the basis of it being a part of some long-term master strategy, or 4D chess. This is nothing new. This cult of celebrity was part and parcel of the suave and polished character of Barack Obama. He relished in the celebrity, the late-night circuits. It fit naturally for him. Obama became not just a politician, but a cult of personality, which could not translate into success for the Democratic Party as a whole. To his supporters, it didn't matter that he frequently missed the high bar he set, and the same can be said of many of Trump's. Meanwhile, Rubin represents the inverse of this dynamic, and it's equally irrational and cultish. They both follow a cult of personality, by which their thoughts are held captive by one man, stopping at nothing to either support or oppose him. They willfully ignore that Trump, like any other president or human being, is sometimes going to take a position they like or oppose, respectively. That doesn't mean he now owns that position, and that you're forced to assess it according to his whim. Stalin, after all, was an avid fan of American Western films. Does this mean that anybody who likes the good, the bad, and the ugly is murderously Stalinistic? Obviously not, but this is what that kind of lazy thinking inevitably amounts to. Rubin, who is the Post's so-called conservative contributor, has taken every position there is in opposition to Trump, oftentimes in a matter of months. Cook notes, for example, how she was in favor of moving the United States Embassy to Jerusalem, up until Trump made the decision to do so. Rubin's bizarre inconsistency reached laughable heights of hackdom when she even went so far as to criticize Trump for not yet fulfilling his campaign promise of recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. She used the fact that Trump hadn't yet done so to lampoon him as looking